Not so fast, Tish and Swiftie James. Attorney General Pam Bondi is seeking to move to revive criminal cases against New York State Attorney General Letitia James and disgraced former FBI Director James Comey, despite their indictments being tossed. Okay, you guys remember that it was a grand jury, I believe, in the Eastern District of Virginia that had indicted them. And then, you know, the judge had said, well, she was illegally appointed. Chris, if this was a judge in maybe a more friendly forum, would we have had a different result?
Well, look, the Democrats are good at venue shopping and finding friendly grand juries that they know are going to do what they want. I mean, honestly, if it were a D.C. grand jury,
every party does this sometimes. You know, if you want to get rid of abortion pills, you go to this guy in Texas, this judge, who's
somebody who's pro-life,
yes, who's
not pro-death and all that stuff. But you know, honestly, a D.C. grand jury would, they'd have a parade for Sirhan Sirhan and Lee Harvey Oswald, and they'd put wreaths around their necks and sing songs around them because they're not on the side of truth, justice, and the American way. And it's true that the Democrats are great at venue shopping and finding, hey, we got a grand jury over here, you know, that would give James Earl Ray a black tie dinner.
One of the best, I think, venue shoppings that the Democrats did was Georgia, the Georgia case against Trump, because, I mean, even if the Republican governor wasn't going to be able to step in and pardon him, only pardons happen post-conviction, which is, you know, a bit wild that they still couldn't pull that off with Bonnie Willis, right, Terry? But to the point of this whole appeal process, so the DOJ is trying to appeal that these indictments were tossed, Halligan's, the ruling against Halligan's appointment. Is the process the punishment? Like keeping, you know, Tish James, Comey in this whole limbo period of, you know, their cases still being fought out in the appeals court. Is that part of the punishment?
I don't think so. I think the punishment's being inflicted on the American people. This should be straightforward. A case should come up. Everyone should present their evidence and their cases, and we should get a ruling on it. Instead, they're saving these guys with technicalities and garbage, and it's a real blight on our justice system. They obviously abuse their power. I don't think that's really up for debate. Maybe it is, but that's why you have the courts. But this is just more of the same two-party, two-tier justice system where our guys never get a fair trial, and technically, they don't get justice either.
Yeah,
but there are technicalities. That's still, they can't just ignore technicalities, Terry. So it's like, you know, it's part of the law. And so if you know, to just say, oh, if we should just get rid of technicalities, we don't want to live in a country where they don't abide by, you know, a certain set of criminal procedure, basically.
Well, part of the problem, though, is that when this issue happens with U.S. attorneys, like what happened with Halligan and what's happened with Alina Abba back in New Jersey, is that they want the whole goal of Democrats is to make sure that the judges in that district are the ones filling the seat. And the argument from the DOJ, and I think it's fair, is that this is an executive position to appoint, not that the judges in a judiciary can come in and usurp that.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.